Imagine holding a red telephone, knowing that whispering one single word could vaporize the entire planet. That was not the plot of a science fiction movie. That was the absolute, terrifying reality for nearly half a century. Two superpowers emerged from the ashes of the deadliest conflict in human history. But instead of finding peace, they pointed enough nuclear weapons at each other to destroy the world 10 times over. Welcome to the shadow game of the 20th century, a war where no official battles were fought, yet millions of lives were lost. The year was 1945. The ashes of the Second World War were still smouldering across Europe. The United States and the Soviet Union stood victorious, but their alliance was built on a foundation of deep, paralyzing paranoia. An invisible wall descended across the European continent. Winston Churchill famously called it the Iron Curtain. On one side, a booming capitalist empire. On the other, a secretive, tightly controlled communist regime. Direct confrontation meant absolute, total annihilation. So, they fought in the shadows. They fought with spies, lies, and silent assassinations. Welcome to the golden age of espionage, the Central Intelligence Agency against the Soviet KGB. Agents used poisoned umbrellas, secret cameras hidden in lighters, and microphones planted inside the wooden seals of embassies. Trust was a luxury no one could afford. Your neighbor could be a government informant. The paranoia went so deep that governments started experimenting on their own citizens. The CIA launched a highly classified, illegal program known as Project MK Ultra. They attempted to master mind control, using mind-altering substances and psychological torture to create the ultimate, brainwashed secret agent. Animals were not spared either. They literally tried to wire microphones inside living cats to eavesdrop on Soviet officials. It was a theater of the absurd, funded by millions of taxpayer dollars. But the invisible war was backed by a very visible, horrifying threat: the nuclear arms race. Both nations scrambled to build the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. The philosophy keeping the world alive had a darkly appropriate acronym: MAD, Mutually Assured Destruction. The logic was twisted but simple. If you attack me, I will destroy you, and we will both burn together. This terrifying staring contest reached its absolute climax in October of 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. American spy planes discovered Soviet nuclear missiles sitting in Cuba, just 90 miles away from the coast of Florida. For 13 agonizing days, the world held its breath. School children were taught to hide under their desks, a pathetic defense against atomic fire. Generals on both sides screamed for immediate war. A single miscalculation, a single nervous soldier pulling a trigger, would have ended human civilization entirely. Yet, they pulled back from the edge at the very last second. However, the Soviets did not stop testing their apocalyptic power. They detonated the Tsar Bomba, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever created. It yielded a blast equivalent to 50 million tons of TNT. The shockwave circled the Earth 3 times. If you find the hidden secrets of history as fascinating as that mind-blowing explosion, you need to hit that like button and subscribe right now, so you never miss our next deep dive into the unknown. Since the Earth was too fragile for their massive egos, the two superpowers looked to the stars. The space race had begun. It was not just about scientific discovery. It was about proving absolute superiority to the rest of the globe. The Soviet Union drew first blood by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, in 1957. They followed it up by sending Yuri Gagarin, the first human being, into the dark void of space. The United States panicked. They poured billions of dollars into their space program. In 1969, they achieved the ultimate victory. Neil Armstrong left the first human footprint on the surface of the moon. But while they were looking up at the stars, the ground below was soaking in blood. They called it a Cold War, but for millions of people in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, It was burning hot. These were the proxy wars: Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan. The superpowers funded, armed, and trained local fighters, using foreign nations as their personal, deadly chessboards. The United States dropped more bombs on Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia than all the bombs dropped during the entirety of the Second World War. Decades later, the Soviet Union sent their mighty Red Army to crush a rebellion in the brutal mountains of Afghanistan. They were dragged into a grueling 10-year nightmare. The CIA quietly funneled advanced Stinger missiles to the Afghan fighters, turning Soviet helicopters into falling balls of fire. It was a calculated, devastating game of retaliation. Millions of innocent civilians perished in conflicts orchestrated by men sitting in safe, comfortable offices thousands of miles away. Even the sky was watching you. The Americans developed the U-2 spy plane, capable of flying at 70,000 feet. It was completely untouchable by standard radar. It captured crystal-clear photographs of secret Soviet military bases from the very edge of the stratosphere. Down on the ground, ordinary citizens built reinforced concrete bunkers in their backyards. Families stockpiled canned beans, bottled water, and gas masks. They were always waiting for a flash of blinding white light that could arrive at any second. The tension stretched across 4 exhausting decades. But no empire can sustain that level of intense pressure forever. By the late 1980s, the Soviet economy was crumbling under the massive weight of endless military spending. The people were starving for basic goods and desperate for true freedom. In 1989, the unthinkable happened. The Berlin Wall, the ultimate symbol of global division, was torn down by the bare hands of ordinary citizens. 2 years later, in 1991, the Soviet Union officially collapsed. The red flag was lowered from the Kremlin for the very last time. The Cold War was officially over. The world survived the ultimate test of human restraint, but the weapons built during that dark era are still sitting in their underground silos today, just waiting. Do you think the Cold War ever truly ended? Or did the players just change their names and tactics for a modern, digital age? Drop your deepest theories in the comments below and let us debate the hidden reality of our world.